So as you can see there, I hit a really good drive on my third shot. However, I left it high enough for my opponent to attack the ball, and since I was hitting it from all the way back at the baseline, he had plenty of time to see that ball coming and move it around and counter that ball. This is what we call an attackable shot. Even though I had a very well executed drive, I left it attackable for my opponent. So what you want to do instead is try to hit unattackable shots. I'm BK, and today we're going to learn how to hit unattackable shots. So what is an unattackable shot? Coming from tennis, I used to hit a lot of drives and try to simply use my power and precision to outmaneuver opponents. However, there's a lot of times in pickleball where those drives can actually hurt you because your opponents are simply waiting for it, ready to counter it with their volleys. So what we're trying to do instead is hit unattackable shots. Unattackable shots are shots like dinks and drops that simply bounce in the kitchen, stay below the net so that my opponent is not able to simply counter that ball and kill it over the net. So what we're going to learn today is 3 different kinds of unattackable shots. So the first and most important unattackable shot in pickleball is the dink. The dink is where you're standing at the kitchen line and simply hitting the ball back into your opponent's kitchen. This shot is extremely important because it helps you stay consistent in the point and sets you up for an easy finish. These shots are built for you to simply stay in the point and wait for the perfect opportunity to attack. So what you're going to do with the dink is just keep your opponent in the kitchen, move them around, and wait for that opportunity to strike whenever it comes up. So when it comes to the dink, you want to make sure you have an open face. The way you do this is simply open up your paddle face, not too high, not too low. You really want to get that about 45 degrees where you can lift that ball over the net and back down. This is going to help you really lift that ball and control it versus having something that's too open where you're now skying the ball, or something where you close the paddle and then it goes straight into the net. So it's really important to have that open face to lift the ball. The next thing you want to focus on is your footwork. Setting yourself up for the shot is extremely important and is the first step to any shot. What you're going to do is whenever you see that ball coming at you, you're going to shuffle your feet to give yourself the best opportunity to contact that ball in front of your body. If that ball is going to be too close to your feet, don't be afraid to take a step back and wait for that ball to get high enough to you to hit that ball. Anytime you get caught and are trying to contact that ball at your feet, you're going to be less inclined to control that ball, and it's going to be really easy for you to pop that ball up, which is exactly what your opponent is hoping for. Now, the last thing you want to focus on with your dink is your contact point. Make sure always to contact that ball close to its highest point of its bounce. So if that ball bounces, I want to contact that right at the highest point of its bounce, because that's where I can easily lift that ball over the net. If I wait for that ball to bounce and get all the way back down, now I'm trying to lift the ball so far high that it's more easier for me to just pop that ball up, and now my opponent is going to attack that ball. So again, make sure you contact that ball close to the highest point of its bounce. So right here, as you can see, both me and my opponent are simply trying to keep that ball in the kitchen and make sure that the ball doesn't go above net height. Anytime my opponent can take the ball above net height, he's going to be able to attack the ball into my feet, and that's going to make it extremely hard for me to win the point. So what I'm trying to do is simply keep that ball in the kitchen and wait for the perfect opportunity for me to attack. Now, the second most important unattackable shot is the reset. The reset is any shot, especially in the transition zone, where that ball's coming at you with some heat and you're simply trying to reset the ball into the kitchen. The shot is called the reset simply because you're trying to reset the point and reset yourself to get back into the point and use your position to cover the court. So you're going to use this opportunity to put the ball back in the kitchen and get yourself up to the kitchen line so that now you're back in the point, and then you can move your opponents around with your dinking and set yourself up for the finish. So the way we're going to hit the reset is similar to the dink, but with slight differences. As for the dink, the ball's coming to us at lower pace, so we're going to be able to swing through and really provide the pace on the ball. However, for resets, the ball's already coming to us with a lot of speed. So our goal is really to soften that ball up and put it back in the kitchen. Again, just like the dink, you want to have an open face. Again, the 45-degree angle is pretty standard, and we're just going to open that face up and try to use our soft hands to deaden the ball and soften that ball to get it back into the kitchen. So what you're going to do is use your 45-degree angle on your paddle face and try to stay on your backhand side. Most people defend on their backhand side because with your backhand, you can reach any point of the court along this backhand arc. With my forehand, what happens is my body comes in the way, so I'm not able to cross over to the other side of my body. However, with my backhand, I'm able to really reach over with that arc and cover most balls along this line. So once again, open face, use your backhand, and soften the arm. You're going to try and have a slightly firm wrist, try to lock up your elbow, and simply use your open face to reset those balls back into the kitchen. The third important unattackable shot is a third shot drop. The third shot drop is where after you hit the serve and that return comes back at you, this is where both your opponents are already running towards the kitchen line. So what you need to do is try to make it unattackable for them by dropping that ball into the kitchen from all the way at the baseline. It's an extremely important shot to have in your arsenal and will definitely help you take your game to the next level. Now, the important thing to do with a third shot drop is, again, you want to get that ball over the net and back down. Since you're standing so far behind the net, you're standing all the way at the baseline, your ball has to be on its downward trajectory when it reaches the net. So I can't simply just do what I did with a dink. I have to kind of lift that ball with more topspin, where now that ball goes high, and then right as it reaches the net, it starts dipping down into the kitchen. Anytime I can do that to the ball, it's going to be a lot harder for my opponent to attack the ball, because now it's going to be closer to his feet and below the net, and that's a very unattackable shot. So right here you can see I'm using an open face. I'm trying to roll the ball over the net and back down. If I can get enough topspin on that ball, I'm going to make sure that ball comes down nice and easy into the kitchen. What I'm also doing is I'm trying to hit corners where my opponent has to move his feet or move his angles around. If I can do that, as you can see, he's popping a lot of those balls up, which will give me the opportunity to go in and attack the ball. Now, I really hope you learned something from these 3 shots. For you to really control the court and manipulate your opponents into moving the way you want them to, you have to learn to master these 3 shots. If you can master these 3 shots through practice and repetition and gameplay, you will definitely take your game to the next level. This is something that all advanced players are really keen about, is making sure that they have consistent dinks, consistent resets, and consistent drops. These 3 shots can make or break your pickleball game at the highest level. So go ahead and practice these shots. And as always, I've been BK. You can follow me at BK_pickleball on Instagram and YouTube, and also make sure to subscribe to Cliff Pickleball below. For now, I've been BK, and I'll see you next time.